I had taken a whole week to focus on my clients, but keeping my team very informed. And now it was time to decide. Would I have to let someone go? What we have to do with our salaries? What financial decisions? Because a turnaround and recession is about cash flow. Those businesses who make sure that they have liquid cash flow will thrive. Those who don't will struggle and eventually go out of business. Cash is king, or actually queen, let's say. And it's important that you focus on that. Then the way I had my priorities was to talk about it with my team, then focus on my clients and community to calm everyone down, and then go back to my team. And I am absolutely certain that this was the right choice because I came back to my team earlier this week and announced my decision. So I take Excel and I dive deep, deep, deep. I do a top-down and a bottom-up approach, and that's something that's hard to teach over a podcast episode. But basically, when I do a budget, I look at every single item down to $10. Maybe that sounds like a crazy thing to do when you have a multiple $1 million business, but to me it doesn't, because that's exactly what I did 16 years ago. I would spend hours over my Excel sheet, well, now I use a Google sheet, and figure out where can I save money so that we have enough cash reserves to weather this through. So I looked at everything we could potentially cancel. Of course, that's hopefully what you've done already. Software tools, memberships. And if you have payment plans, know that you cannot just get out of them. That's a breach of contract. So make sure if you are on a payment plan for a program, email the vendor or the coach or the program owner and tell them you're struggling, not to get out of the contract, but to ask for an extended payment plan. In my case, I don't have any payment plans or leases or anything, so that's simple. But if I have a membership or if I'm signed up for software, this is the chance to see where we can save. Maybe also an annual subscription is better than a monthly subscription. And if you haven't done it already, it is actually time to do it, even if it's more upfront cost. So I do this with every single line item. And I come to the conclusion of what can we save and what we still need to keep. The biggest cost in most businesses are people. If you don't have a team yet, you have maybe not experienced that yet. But when you have a 7-figure business or even a multiple 6-figure business and you have a team, you start to realize that that's your biggest cost. I pay myself salary, so my salary and my husband's salary, who also works in the business, is also a part of that salary cost. And that salary cost should normally be 1/3 or 1/4 of your revenue. I think 1/3 is a good goal to aim for. And of course, ultimately, if you get to 1/4, that's even better. And here I'm talking about service-based businesses and not product-based businesses. So it might be different if you have a product-based business. So if your salary of your team members and yours included is not 1/3, you need to do something. My original budget for 2020 was $5 million in revenue. I have decided to dial it down to 1.6 million. Why? Because I want to be on the safe side. Because I always suggest you do a worst case scenario and a best case scenario in times of a turnaround or a recession. What probably will happen is the middle scenario, and that's what I am aiming for. I'm kind of aiming for the worst case almost. So by saying 1.6, we've already earned about 500,000 already so far in this year, but I'm looking at being certain. I am certain we can achieve 1.6. I think we can do better, but I want to be on the safe side. Then I look at the costs in my business and the profit margin. Now, I am not big on profits because I pay myself a salary and I also pay rent to myself and other things in the business. So I don't have to have an actual profit so much, but I do think it's healthy to have at least 10%. And if you want to be really, really, have cash reserves in your business and you don't mind, and you're not taking it out in any other way, then it should be 30% too. And I looked at all of this and I saw that our employee cost would be too much for this new budget. That's a simple exercise. You make a new assessment of what you think can come in revenue, and then you look at the costs. And if you have too much costs, you have to cut it. You can also do it bottom up and say, look at all the costs you have and see what you can cut. I do it both ways to make sure I'm not missing anything. So I took the tough decision to let 2 people go. One person had just joined the team 1.5 months ago, so that is an easier decision. And I do think you should look at who joined your team last. The other person joined my team about 10 months ago, and we had grand plans around getting that person to move to Switzerland and become my videographer. If you're following Gary Vee, you know he has a guy called D-Rock following him around. But that hasn't happened. And with the new situation of travel restrictions and virus looming around, it's not going to happen anytime soon. So it was my, in a tough decision, still a relatively easy choice to let those 2 people go. And I did it right away on Monday morning, set up a call with both of them and told them that this was my decision. And I explain what is going on and say, here's what's happening. And unfortunately, I need to let you go. I have fired probably 50 people in the past 16 years or even more, probably more actually. And it's never easy. But it is something you have to be able to do as a business owner because otherwise you cannot waver through a recession or a turnaround. The second thing I did, I decided that me and my husband we're going to take a 50% pay cut. We will pay us the money back when we know that we have weathered the recession. But meanwhile, I make sure they have enough cash. That's my overall goal for everything I'm doing right now. Cash is queen. So 50% reduction in our salaries. Plus, I went to the team and said, I'm asking everyone on my team and all my vendors, also the people who are not on my team and just do contract work for me, to take a 20% pay cut. As I was planning this, I thought about doing pay cut here and not pay cut there because, some people are more productive and others not so. And, it's always in a bigger team. You will have a few who you work closer with and know better, and maybe they get more done because you contact them more. And I decided, no, it's the same thing across the board. Everyone is taking a 20% cut for 6 months. And you know what? When I announced this to the team, so actually, first I had a call privately with 3 people from the team, those who were closest with me. But I have a bigger team, so I thought, well, it's going to take me a while to have private calls with everyone. We have different time zones, but we have this one call where we get together, all of us, and now we're doing daily calls anyway, where I announced it. And the resonance was so good. Everyone understands that these are challenging times. And instead of losing their job or losing a contract, I am making sure we're keeping almost everybody, but everyone has to take a pay cut. Now, this might sound weird to you, knowing that I have cash to run the business and that I am putting forward offers that I know will sell. But you know what? You need to be on the safe side. Cash is queen. And it's you have seen, maybe you don't know about it, but I have seen very good businesses with superb people go bankrupt because they ran out of cash. So I want that to, you to have this key takeaway from listening to this episode, that cash is queen, and it's better to do some cuts and take some tough decisions fast and take them now, right away after you've listened to this episode, than scrambling to do that afterwards.